Trump's AG is promising to investigate missing children. It's January 16th, 2025, and these are your headlines. Well, President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for Attorney General, at least for a few more days, has promised to make every effort to investigate and find the 300,000 missing children who have entered the country illegally coming across our southern border. Now, Texas's own Ted Cruz asked Bondi the question at her confirmation hearing at the U.S. Senate yesterday. Senator Cruz asked if she was willing, Pam Bondi, the Florida AG, to get trafficked children out of abusive situations that the federal government has put them into. That was how he characterized it. Well, Bondi said yes. Cruz then accused the Biden administration of simply ignoring federal law when it comes to the border. Now, back in September, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick had blasted Vice President Kamala Harris for losing track of over 300,000 unaccompanied illegal alien kids. Lieutenant Governor Patrick said that many of those children have been exploited by the sex slave trade and are likely being raped multiple times per day. Incoming Border Czar Tom Homeland also pledged to find those hundreds of thousands missing children who were smuggled into the country. Well, speaking of Congress, Republican Representative Chip Roy has reintroduced, I should say, to stop taxpayer funding of the United Nations Human Rights Council. He called it a globalist, anti-Western propaganda machine, saying that it doesn't deserve a dime of our money or an ounce of our credibility. While members of the UN are required to contribute financially, the United States is the top donor. According to the Council of Foreign Relations, President Joe Biden has restored hundreds of millions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, of UN funding that was cut under President Donald Trump. Roy referred to the UN's Human Rights Council as a long-running joke and an organization that has the audacity to lecture the world about human rights while giving seats to some of the worst abusers in the world, like China, Cuba, and Sudan. He went on to say that the UN disproportionately attacks Israel and that it has an overall leftist crusade against Western civilizations while letting monstrous and authoritarian regimes like Iran get away with little more than a slap on the wrist by comparison, if that. Now, this newly reintroduced legislation comes on the heels of the Biden administration's recent removal of Cuba's state sponsor of terrorism designation, a move that Senator Cruz, who is a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, criticized as unacceptable on its merits. Now, back here in Texas, last year, State Senator Bob Hall called for new legislation to safeguard Texas from the overreaching influence of international organizations such as the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, and yes, the UN.
Are you worried about your kid's future? You should be. I'm Charles Blaine with Texas Tomorrow. This is a show where we're going to talk about the issues and the people that are pushing the policies that concern your family, your home, and your kids. Catch Texas Tomorrow every Thursday.
Last up, Senator Tan Parker from Flower Mound has filed legislation in the Texas Senate intended to strengthen Texas's security infrastructure. Senate Bill 780 would establish a Homeland Security Division within the Texas Department of Public Safety to coordinate multi-agency and multi-jurisdictional efforts aimed at protecting Texans against security threats. Senator Parker's legislation puts the HSD in charge of Texas's border security operations, coordinating intelligence and protecting the state's critical infrastructure such as energy, communications, and transportation systems. Additionally, the measure would establish programs to address and mitigate risks and collaborate with local governments. Now, Senator Parker said that by creating a dedicated Homeland Security Division, we are enhancing Texas's ability to respond to evolving threats and ensuring a unified strategic approach to safeguarding our state. He went on to say that the challenges Texas faces, from border security to critical infrastructure threats, demand an innovative and unified response, and that this bill equips Texas with the tools to protect our people and ensure resilience against the challenges of tomorrow. Now, it's worth mentioning last year, in June, the Republican Party of Texas passed 8 legislative priorities for the 89th legislative session. Among that list, under border security, was a priority to create a Texas Department of Homeland Security to prevent illegal entry and trafficking and to deport illegal aliens to Mexico or to their nations of origin. For more of today's stories, go to TexasScorecard.com.